I'm Ken, and welcome to Robin's Nest Studios. In today's video, we build some obstructions for Warmachine and Hordes. When I build terrain, I like to try and reduce, reuse, and recycle. So I tend to use a lot of trash in my terrain builds. In this particular build, I used some Roblox trash. If you have a kid who plays with any of those kind of grab bag toys, there's things where you buy the toy and it's a random thing. They always come in packaging that you can use for projects like this. I got my nephew some of these Roblox toys for his birthday. When he opened them all up, there were little toys inside these cubes, but all these cubes were just trash. So I collected all the cubes up and decided to make some terrain out of them. Now I'll admit this isn't any kind of terrain that's going to win any kind of awards, but it'll look nice on the table and it'll be cheap. So what I decided to do with these little cubes is kind of stack them together and make wall obstructions. Due to the shape of these blocks and the letters that were on them, I figured I could make some sort of old ancient ruin or a wall from a ruin or something along those lines with it. My approach to this piece of terrain is keep it simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to stack these cubes on top of each other and we're going to secure them in with some super glue. Continue to just glue these blocks together until I get a shape that I want to work with. Once I've glued the blocks into the basic shapes I'm going to be working with, I come in with a hot glue gun and I just start to gap fill everything. We're also going to use the hot glue to texture the bricks for the next step. This concoction here is something I use whenever I'm making terrain that is stone. We have some wall joint compound in there, or spackle, whatever you want to call it. And I mix some white PVA glue in with that. Then to add some texture, I sprinkle in some sand. And then some black paint to darken up that gray. Remember, we're using this to simulate stone. So we only want to add enough black to give me a darker gray tone. Then we vigorously stir this up. Then we proceed to just slop this onto these walls here. You don't got to be fancy with it, you don't got to take your time, just slop it on. Make sure to use a brush you are okay with destroying. These are some cheap painter's brushes that I picked up from Home Depot. Since I was winging this build, I realized after I slopped on all of the joint compound mixture that I forgot to add a base to these things. So I glued them to some cardboard and then I used some hot glue to fill in the gaps. Here you see me painting that mistake gray. Now this gray that I'm using here is actually wall paint, and it's a little bit lighter than the gray that ended up on the stone wall itself. So I'm going to dab this gray throughout the piece to kind of blend it all in together. From there I take an even lighter gray, also wall paint, and I dry brush both of these pieces. The reason that I'm using these wall paints is because you can get these samples for pretty cheap. And since it's wall paint, it's meant to kind of stand up. And with terrain, you're picking it up, you're putting it down, you're bumping into it. It's got to be a little robust. And the house paint is perfect for that purpose. From there, I apply a strong tone wash to both of these pieces, and I apply it with a squirt bottle. I am using this squirt bottle for no other reason than speed and ease of use. Now it's time to doctor these ruins up a bit, make it look like they've been sitting in the ground for a little while. We're going to take some white PVA glue to the bottom edges, and we're going to spread that out evenly with a brush. From there we proceed to sprinkle on some sand. This sand is going to be used to simulate dirt at the base of the walls. Once that has dried, I apply a strong tone wash to all of the sand. It's this dark tone wash that really makes the sand look like dirt. Then we apply some patches of PVA glue. This will be used to adhere the static grass. I'm sure to tap it off back into my container to try and save as much of that grass as possible. And I decided to add some bushes to the larger piece here, and I simulated those with, I believe this is lichen. It wasn't in any kind of descriptive packaging. It's been sitting in my drawer for a while now, so I decided to use it just to use it up. And voila, would you look at that sexy trash terrain. And I sealed these pieces with some watered down PVA glue through a spray bottle. Apparently I forgot to hit record while I was doing that. I have to admit this actually turned out better than I had expected it to. Well, there you have it. There's my trash obstructions. I really tried to take advantage of the fact that they were made of blocks to kind of use them together to make different shaped terrain for different scenarios and different boards. Like I said, it didn't turn out super flashy, but I think it looks really good for what it is. The future plan for this terrain is I plan to get thin mouse pads that I can cut up so that I can use as a place marker for the terrain if for whatever reason it has to come off the board for models that have wings or whatnot. The goal is that hopefully with that you don't sacrifice the precision movement for having the 3D terrain. our local gaming club is trying to make the push into 3D terrain so that when others are coming by in the game shop and they see us playing, they're more likely to be interested in it and maybe we can get some new players out of it. It seems that the 2D terrain that we tend to use as Warmachine and Hordes players just isn't really flashy looking when you're playing in a shop. So I feel like as Warmachine players and as someone who's active in their community, if we can somehow make the switch to 3D terrain or a mixture of 3D and 2D, I feel like that would really help the state of our hobby. But that's enough out of me. What do you guys think of this terrain? Do you like the idea of 3D terrain? Or are you more of a 2D traditionalist? Let me know in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this video or got any kind of useful information out of it, hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help out a lot. And hit that bell if you'd like to be notified of future videos. But that's all for now. I gotta fly. Just remember, keep on painting, peeps.